The soft hum of engines filled the bridge of the light seeker as it drifted through the endless void of space. Stars twinkled in the distance, their light barely touching the sleek hull of the Galactic Confederation's most advanced scout vessel. Commander Tahoe stood at his post, his pale blue skin reflecting the glow of countless monitors surrounding him. The bridge crew worked in comfortable silence, each member focused on their tasks. Some had scales, others had crystalline bodies, and a few were even gaseous beings contained in special suits. They represented the diversity of the Confederation, a peaceful alliance of species that had long ago given up the need for weapons. Tahoe's tendrils, soft appendages that helped him sense the world around him, suddenly twitched. Something was different. The readings on his screen made no sense. Energy patterns that didn't match anything in their vast database of known species. "Commander," called out First Officer Raya, her crystalline body catching the light and sending rainbow patterns across the bridge walls. "You need to see this." Her voice carried a note of uncertainty that made everyone pause their work. Moving to her station, Tahoe's four eyes widened as he studied the readings. The energy signature was massive, far larger than any civilian vessel they'd encountered before. But it was the pattern that troubled him. Dense, focused, like nothing their scientists had ever documented. "Put it on the main display," he ordered, his voice calm despite the growing tension in his chest. The huge screen at the front of the bridge lit up with sensor data. Numbers and charts scrolled past, but what caught everyone's attention was the shape emerging from the darkness. At first, it looked like a shadow against the stars, but as their sensors gathered more data, details began to emerge. The unknown vessel was enormous, easily 3 times the size of the light seeker. Unlike the smooth, organic shapes preferred by Confederation ships, this one was angular and sharp. Its hull was covered in thick plates of dark metal, layered like the armor of ancient warriors from countless worlds. But what made Tahoe's breathing sacs pulse with alarm were the structures jutting out from the hull. They were unmistakable: weapon mounts, sensor arrays, and what appeared to be launch tubes for some kind of projectiles. "Are those weapon systems?" asked one of the junior officers, their voice barely a whisper. Rhea adjusted her scanners, her crystalline fingers moving gracefully over the controls. "Confirmed, Commander. I'm detecting multiple weapon emplacements. Some appear to be kinetic weapon systems, others, I'm not sure. The technology is unlike anything in our records." The bridge crew exchanged worried looks. It had been generations since any species in known space had built warships. The very concept was considered primitive, a relic of less enlightened times. How did we miss this? Tahoe wondered aloud, his tendrils waving slowly as he thought. A spacefaring species advanced enough to build ships of this size, yet we've never detected them before. The massive vessel continued its steady movement through space, seemingly unaware or unconcerned with the light seeker's presence. Its dark hull absorbed nearby starlight, making it look like a piece of space had come alive and decided to take shape. "Commander," Raya's voice cut through the tense silence, "I'm detecting something else. The ship's internal atmosphere. It's filled with oxygen. Highly concentrated oxygen." This revelation sent a new wave of shock through the bridge. Oxygen in its pure form was highly corrosive, capable of destroying many materials over time. What kind of beings would willingly surround themselves with such a dangerous element? Tahoe straightened his posture, making a decision. "Send out a standard greeting on all frequencies. Whatever they are, we need to understand their intentions. A species capable of building such vessels could be either a great ally or..." He left the thought unfinished, but everyone understood. As the crew prepared the greeting message, Tahoe couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to experience something that would change the Confederation forever. Here, at the edge of known space, they had discovered not just a new species, but one that challenged everything they thought they knew about civilized space travel. The unknown ship loomed larger on their screens, its presence a reminder that the galaxy still held many surprises, even for those who thought they had seen everything. The Light Seeker's crew waited in anticipation, wondering what kind of beings they were about to meet and why they felt the need to travel the stars in what was essentially a floating fortress. Silence filled the bridge of the Light Seeker as they waited for a response to their greeting. The dark ship hung against the stars like a shadow given form, its angles and armor plating unlike anything the crew had ever seen. Commander Tahoe's tendrils moved slowly, showing his growing curiosity about this strange vessel. The response, when it came, surprised everyone. The alien ship transmitted in perfect galactic standard, the common language developed by the Confederation over centuries of peaceful contact between species. The voice was clear and confident, without any trace of translation errors. "This is Captain Hiram Park of the United Earth Ship Dauntless. We've received your greeting and welcome the opportunity for diplomatic contact." The crew exchanged glances. The voice sounded remarkably normal, almost like one of their own people speaking, though none of them had heard of Earth before. "The ship calls itself Dauntless," Rhea said, her crystalline form shifting slightly as she worked at her station. "And they say they're from Earth. I find no record of such a world in our database." Commander Tahoe leaned forward, studying the massive vessel on their view screen. "Request visual communication," he ordered. Everyone on the bridge held their breath, wondering what kind of beings they were about to see. The screen flickered to life, and the crew of the Light Seeker got their first look at a human. Captain Park stood in what appeared to be the Dauntless's bridge, surrounded by other humans working at various stations. She had dark hair pulled back neatly, and wore a crisp uniform in dark colors with silver markings that presumably showed her rank. What struck the Confederation crew most was how normal she appeared. 2 eyes, 2 arms, standing upright. A basic body plan shared by many species. Yet there was something different about these humans, something in their posture and the way they moved that suggested hidden strength. "Greetings, Commander," Captain Park said, offering what they would later learn was called a smile. "I understand this might be a bit of a surprise. We've been exploring this sector for some time, but this is our first contact with your Confederation." Tahoe's scientific curiosity overcame his initial caution. "Your ship's design is unique. We've never seen anything quite like it. The Dauntless is our newest class of deep space exploration vessel," Park explained. "She's built to handle whatever the universe might throw at us." As they spoke, Rhea continued her scans of the human ship. Her crystalline fingers flew over her console as new data streamed in. Suddenly, she made a sound of surprise that drew everyone's attention. "Commander, I've confirmed the atmospheric readings," she reported. "Their ship is filled with a mixture of nitrogen and oxygen. The oxygen levels they're incredibly high. By our standards, it should be corroding their ship from the inside out." Captain Park overheard this and smiled again. "Ah yes, we've had this reaction before in our limited contacts with other species. Oxygen is essential for our survival. We evolved on a planet with an oxygen-nitrogen atmosphere." The revelation sent murmurs through the Light Seeker's bridge. A species that not only tolerated but required corrosive oxygen to live. It seemed impossible, yet here they were. "Your ship's construction makes more sense now," Tahoe said thoughtfully. "With such an internal atmosphere, you would need extremely resistant materials." "That's part of it," Park agreed. "Though honestly, the atmospheric requirements are one of the simpler engineering challenges we've had to overcome. Would you be interested in a closer look? We'd be honored to host a delegation from your vessel, though you'll need environmental suits for the oxygen atmosphere." Before Tahoe could respond, Rhea spoke up again, her voice carrying a note of amazement. "Commander, I'm detecting multiple backup systems for every major ship function. Their power generation system alone has 3 complete redundant backups. And these readings from their hull. The material composition is extraordinary." The humans on the screen seemed amused by the Confederation crew's surprise. One of them, wearing what appeared to be an engineering uniform, grinned broadly at the comments about their ship systems. "May I ask," Tahoe said carefully, "why you feel the need for such extensive defensive capabilities?" "The weapon systems we detected," are purely defensive, Captain Park finished for him. Space is vast and often dangerous. We believe in being prepared for any situation we might encounter. It's a lesson we learned early in our development as a species. The way she said it, so matter-of-factly, made Tahoe wonder what kind of world had produced these beings. What experiences had led them to build ships like floating fortresses, yet approach new species with such openness and diplomacy? Looking at his own crew's fascinated expressions, Tahoe made a decision. We would be honored to accept your invitation, Captain Park. I believe we have much to learn from each other. As arrangements were made for the visit, Tahoe couldn't help but notice how efficiently the humans organized everything, from atmospheric compatibility checks to docking procedures. It was becoming clear that while these humans might have built what looked like a warship, they were far from primitive or aggressive. They were simply prepared for everything. The airlock door opened with a soft hiss as Lieutenant Minho Lee welcomed the alien delegation aboard the Dauntless. The visitors were sealed in their environmental suits, protected from the oxygen-rich atmosphere that humans breathe so naturally. Their varied forms, crystalline, gaseous, and scaled, made an interesting contrast to the uniformed human crew members who went about their duties. "Please watch your step," Minho said warmly, gesturing to the slight lip of the airlock threshold. "We maintain Earth-standard gravity throughout the ship." He couldn't help but notice how the aliens seemed to move with extra effort, their movements careful and measured. Commander Tahoe's breathing sacs pulsed steadily inside his protective suit as he took in the corridor before them. The walls were lined with organized panels, each clearly labeled, with handholds placed at regular intervals. Everything spoke of careful planning and practicality. "The gravity here," Science Officer Raya said, her crystalline form glinting through her suit, "it's much stronger than what we use on our vessels. Yet your crew moves so easily." Minho nodded, leading them past a group of crew members who offered polite greetings to the visitors. "This is actually quite comfortable for us. Earth's gravity is about this strong. It's what we evolved with." The aliens watched in fascination as a pair of human engineers carried what looked like a heavy equipment case down the corridor, chatting and laughing as if it weighed nothing. To the visitors, such a load would have required mechanical assistance. Their tour continued through the ship's main corridors. Minho showed them the mess hall, where crews ate in shifts, and the recreational areas where off-duty personnel maintained their physical fitness. The aliens were particularly interested in the exercise equipment. "You voluntarily expose yourselves to additional physical stress?" Tahoe asked, watching a crew member lifting weights. "We have to," Minho explained. "Our bodies evolved to need regular physical activity. Without it, our muscles and bones would become weak, especially in space." The observation caused quite a stir among the visitors. The idea of a species that required physical stress to remain healthy was foreign to them. Their own bodies focused on efficiency and minimal energy use. As they reached the ship's botanical section, Raya paused to study the various plants growing under artificial lights. "These are from your world?" she asked, noting the variety of shapes and sizes. "Yes," Minho said proudly. "We maintain several gardens throughout the ship. These plants help clean our air, provide fresh food, and remind us of home." Earth has many different environments, from frozen poles to burning deserts, from deep oceans to high mountains. Your species survives in all these conditions, one of the alien scientists asked in disbelief. "We've adapted to live almost anywhere," Minho replied. "Humans have settlements in all of Earth's climate zones. It's part of why we design our ships to be so versatile. We're used to adapting to different conditions." The tour continued to the engineering section, where Chief Engineer Song was waiting to explain their propulsion systems. The aliens were particularly interested in the multiple backup systems and redundancies built into every critical component. "We notice you have manual override controls for almost everything," Tahoe observed, his tendrils moving with curiosity inside his suit. "That's right," Song confirmed. "We believe in being able to fix things ourselves if automated systems fail. Every crew member is trained in basic emergency procedures. As they walked, the aliens noticed something else: the way human crew members constantly communicated with each other, sharing jokes, discussing work, or just exchanging quick greetings as they passed. The ship felt alive with social interaction. "Your crew seems very connected," Raya noted. "Is this normal for humans?" Minho smiled. "We're social creatures, working together, supporting each other. It's deep in our nature. It's how we survived on Earth, and it's how we survive in space." The delegation paused at a viewing window, looking out at the stars. The Dauntless's thick hull was visible below, its armor plating designed to withstand impacts and radiation. "Everything about your ship, your crew, your systems," Tahoe said thoughtfully. "It speaks of a species that expects challenges and prepares for them. Yet you maintain such a positive outlook." "That's human nature too," Minho replied. "We know space is dangerous. Our own world taught us that life can be challenging. But we believe in facing those challenges together, and we remain optimistic about the future. It's why we're out here, exploring and meeting new species like yourselves." The aliens looked at each other, their various forms expressing what humans would recognize as understanding. They were beginning to see that these humans, despite their sturdy ships and powerful bodies, were not aggressive but rather remarkably adaptable and resilient. The diplomatic gathering in the Dauntless's conference room was proceeding smoothly when the alert came. Red lights pulsed softly along the walls as Captain Do-Hyun Kim's voice came through the speakers, calm but urgent. "Captain Park, long-range sensors have detected 3 vessels approaching at high speed. Energy signatures match known raider vessels that have been attacking shipping lanes in this sector." The room fell silent. The alien delegates looked at each other nervously while the human crew members straightened in their seats, suddenly alert but not panicked. Captain Park rose from her chair, her movements unhurried but purposeful. "How long until they reach our position?" 12 minutes at their current speed," Kim reported. "They're moving to surround us." Commander Tahoe's breathing sacs pulsed rapidly as he spoke. "We should leave immediately. Standard protocol for civilian vessels is to retreat from raiders. We can jump to safe space." Park shared a look with her bridge crew, and Minho noticed a slight smile on her face. "Commander, while we appreciate your concern, that's not how we handle situations like this. These raiders have been threatening peaceful ships in this sector. We're not about to run and leave others at risk." She turned to Minho. "Lieutenant, please escort our guests to the observation deck if they wish to stay. They'll be safe there, and they might find what happens next educational." The alien delegation followed Minho to the observation deck, their environmental suits making soft sounds as they moved. Through the reinforced windows, they could see the approaching raiders, sleek, predatory vessels designed for speed and surprise attacks. "Aren't you afraid?" Raya asked, her crystalline form shimmering with concern. "Not really," Minho replied, checking that all the visitors were secure. The Dauntless was built for situations like this. On the bridge, Captain Park took her command chair as the crew moved with practiced efficiency. "Battle stations, but let's keep this clean and precise. No need for overwhelming force." The raiders sent their demands for surrender, expecting their usual easy prey. Instead, the Dauntless's response came in the form of precisely targeted electronic warfare. The human ship systems, which had seemed so overbuilt to the alien observers, now revealed their true purpose. "Targeting their engine control systems," Kim reported. "Point defense grid active, but holding fire unless they shoot first." The aliens watched in amazement as the Dauntless moved with unexpected agility for its size. The human crew worked in perfect coordination, anticipating each other's needs with minimal communication. When the raiders realized their prey wasn't helpless and tried to scatter, the Dauntless was ready. Focused electromagnetic pulses disabled their weapon systems. Precise shots from the human ship's kinetic weapons took out their engines, leaving them stranded but without casualties. 3 targets disabled," Kim announced. No loss of life on either side. Local authorities have been notified and are en route. The entire engagement had taken less than 5 minutes. The alien delegates stood in stunned silence, processing what they had just witnessed. It wasn't the overwhelming firepower they had feared from seeing the ship's weapons. Instead, they had watched a display of precise, coordinated action aimed at stopping the threat while minimizing harm. "Your ship," Tahoe said slowly, his tendrils moving in what humans would recognize as amazement. "You could have destroyed them easily." "We could have," Minho agreed. "But that's not our way. The Dauntless carries significant firepower, yes, but we believe in using only what force is necessary. Our goal was to stop them from hurting others, not to destroy them." As they watched the disabled raider ships drift helplessly, waiting for local authorities, the aliens began to understand something new about humans. These weren't the bloodthirsty warriors they had initially feared upon seeing the Dauntless's weapons. Instead, they were protectors who had developed their capabilities through necessity and chose to use them with restraint. "Your crew worked together like a single organism," Raya observed. "Every action perfectly timed." "We train extensively," Minho explained. "Every crew member knows their role and trusts their teammates to do their jobs. It's part of how we approach everything, not just combat situations." Captain Park's voice came over the speakers, as calm as if she were announcing dinner time. "Our guests may return to the conference room if they wish. The situation has been resolved, and I believe we have much more to discuss." As they made their way back, the aliens looked at their human hosts with new understanding. These beings, who breathed corrosive oxygen and built powerful warships, had just demonstrated that strength and wisdom could go hand in hand. The engineering bay of the Dauntless hummed with activity as Chief Engineer Sora guided the alien engineers through the ship's systems. Their environmental suits made soft whooshing sounds as they moved among the towering machines and control panels that kept the massive vessel running. "This is our main power core," Sora explained, pointing to a massive cylinder that pulsed with contained energy. "But what might interest you more is how we handle power distribution." She led them to a nearby control station, bringing up detailed diagrams on the screen. The alien engineers leaned forward, their various forms, crystalline, gaseous, and scaled, clustering around the display. What they saw made them exchange looks of surprise through their protective visors. "You have 3 complete power distribution networks," one of them noted, their crystalline form shifting in what seemed to be excitement, each one capable of running the entire ship independently. Sora nodded, her fingers dancing across the controls to show more details. 4, actually. The 4th is hidden and kicks in only if the other 3 fail. We learned early in our space exploration that backup systems can fail too. She moved them along to another section, where massive machines processed the ship's atmosphere. "This is how we maintain our oxygen-nitrogen mix. Again, multiple redundant systems. If one fails, another takes over instantly." The aliens watched in fascination as she demonstrated how the systems work together. Their own ships used elegant energy fields and photonic technology, but the human approach to engineering was completely different, focused on physical, mechanical solutions with layer upon layer of redundancy. "These materials," another engineer asked, running a sensor over a nearby wall panel. "They're incredibly dense and strong, but I've never seen anything like them." "That's our composite hull plating," Sora said proudly. "We developed it to withstand micrometeoroid impacts, radiation, and extreme temperature variations. The entire hull is made up of layers, each serving a different protective purpose." She led them to a testing area where a piece of the hull material was being subjected to various stresses. The aliens watched as it withstood forces that would have torn through their own ship materials. "Why do you need such strong materials?" one of them asked. "Our energy shields protect our vessels effectively." Sora smiled. "Shields can fail. When they do, you need something solid between your crew and space. We believe in defense in depth, multiple layers of protection, each backing up the others. The tour continued to the engine room, where the massive propulsion systems drove the ship through space. Here again, the aliens saw the human approach to technology. Practical, robust, and always with backup plans for the backup plans. Your engines, a gaseous engineer noted from within their containment suit. They're much more powerful than needed for a ship this size. Extra power gives us options, Sora explained. In an emergency, we can outrun most threats. If we need to help another ship in distress, we have power to spare. It's not about having more than we need. It's about being ready for anything. They passed by maintenance crews working on various systems. The aliens noticed how the human engineers seemed to know their systems intimately, often working with manual tools alongside automated repair units. Your crew does a lot of hands-on maintenance, one observer said. Most species rely more on automated systems. Automation is great until it fails, Sora replied. Every crew member knows how to repair their systems manually if needed. It's part of our basic training. She showed them the ship's computer core next, another example of human engineering philosophy. Instead of the sophisticated but delicate quantum systems used by most species, the Dauntless used multiple linked computer systems, each capable of running the ship independently. It might seem old-fashioned to you, Sora acknowledged, seeing their reactions. But it's reliable, repairable, and very hard to disable completely. As the tour neared its end, one of the alien engineers summed up what they had all been thinking. Your entire approach to technology is based on surviving the worst possible situations. Sora nodded. We evolved on a world that taught us to be prepared. Space is dangerous. More dangerous than anything on Earth. We build our ships to survive whatever the universe throws at them. And then we add extra safety margins just in case. Looking around the engineering bay, with its multiple backup systems and robust construction, the aliens began to understand the human approach to space travel. It wasn't about elegance or efficiency. It was about ensuring survival, no matter what happened. Some might call it excessive, Sora added with a smile. We call it being properly prepared. In the Dauntless's forward observation lounge, Captain Park and Commander Tejo sat watching the stars drift past the reinforced windows. The room offered a stunning view of space, though the thick protective glass and multiple layers of shielding showed humanity's careful approach to even simple things like windows. Your ship continues to surprise us, Tahoe said, his tendrils moving gently as he spoke through his environmental suit. At first glance, we saw only weapons and armor. Now we see something very different. Park smiled, pouring herself a cup of coffee while Tahoe enjoyed his own specially prepared drink through a suit-compatible straw. The simple act of sharing refreshments had become a bridge between their species. Most people have that reaction when they first see our ships, she replied. They see the armor and weapons, and they think we're ready for war. But that's not why we build them this way. Through the window, they could see the light seeker floating nearby, its organic shape a stark contrast to the angular forms of the Dauntless. The two ships represented very different approaches to space travel, yet both had brought their crews to this moment of understanding. Tell me about Earth, Tahoe asked. Help me understand what shaped your people's approach to space. Park was quiet for a moment, gathering her thoughts. Earth has seen many disasters throughout its history. Natural disasters, climate changes, even massive asteroid impacts that nearly wiped out all life. Our ancestors survived these events, not because they were the strongest, but because they learned to prepare, to adapt, and to protect each other. She went on to explain how humans had learned from each near-extinction event, how each crisis had taught them new lessons about survival. Tahoe listened intently as she described how these experiences had shaped human technology and culture. When we reached for the stars, Park continued, we carried those lessons with us. We knew space would be dangerous, perhaps more dangerous than anything we'd faced before. So we built our ships to be ready for anything. A maintenance crew passed by outside the window, performing routine checks on the hull. Their movements were careful and practiced, each action following safety protocols developed through hard experience. Your people think differently than any species we've encountered, Tahoe observed. You expect problems and prepare for them, yet you remain optimistic. Park nodded. That's the heart of it. We don't build strong ships because we want to fight. We build them because we want to explore, to meet new people, to help others if they need it. The weapons and armor are just tools to help us achieve those goals safely. They watched as a group of human crew members jogged past the lounge, maintaining their physical fitness even in space. Tahoe noticed how their movements showed both strength and control. Your entire crew seems to share this mindset, he said. They're always training, always preparing, but they're also happy. It's part of who we are, Park explained. We find joy in being ready, in knowing we can handle whatever comes our way. It gives us the confidence to explore, to reach out to others without fear. The conversation continued as more Confederation representatives joined them. They discussed different approaches to technology, to exploration, to dealing with the unknown. The humans shared stories of how they had used their ship's capabilities to help others, rescuing stranded vessels, providing aid during natural disasters, protecting peaceful species from those who would harm them. We're beginning to understand, one of the alien delegates said. Your ships aren't fortresses, they're shelters, places of safety not just for yourselves, but for anyone who needs protection. Park smiled at this insight. Exactly. The Dauntless carries weapons, yes, but think about how we use them against those raiders. We stop them without destroying them. That's always our goal, to protect, not to destroy. As the day cycle on the Dauntless continued, the two groups found more common ground. The Confederation representatives began to see how human technology, despite its apparent focus on defense and survival, actually served to make peaceful exploration possible. Your approach to space, Tahoe said thoughtfully, it's like carrying an umbrella not because you expect rain, but because you want the freedom to walk anywhere without worrying about the weather. Park laughed at the analogy. That's a perfect way to put it. We build strong ships because we expect the unexpected. It's not about seeking conflict. It's about being ready to protect those who need protection, including ourselves. The meeting continued long into the ship's night cycle, as both sides shared their hopes and plans for the future. What had started as a cautious first contact was becoming something more, the beginning of a partnership between two very different approaches to exploring the stars. On the final day of their historic meeting, the Grand Council chamber aboard the Confederation diplomatic vessel glowed with soft light as representatives from both species gathered. The human delegation stood tall in their dress uniforms, while the various alien representatives wore their ceremonial attire or environmental suits. The High Counselor of the Confederation, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline form, approached the podium. Their voice resonated through the chamber's translation systems as they officially extended the invitation for Earth to join the Galactic Confederation. We have seen the strength and wisdom of humanity, the High Counselor announced. Your different approach to the challenges of space travel does not make you less advanced. It makes our alliance stronger. Captain Park stepped forward to accept the invitation on behalf of Earth. The Dauntless's crew watched with pride as she shook hands with the High Counselor, a human gesture that the aliens had quickly learned to appreciate. Back aboard the Dauntless, the crew prepared for their journey home. They would escort the light seeker to the edge of Confederation space, a gesture of friendship and protection that seemed fitting after their time together. In the ship's mess hall, human and alien crew members shared one last meal together. The aliens remained in their environmental suits, but the simple act of gathering to eat had become a cherished ritual. Engineers discussed plans for combining human durability with Confederation energy technology. Medical staff exchanged notes on their different approaches to healing. Commander Tahoe found Captain Park in the observation deck, watching the stars. He had grown comfortable enough with humans to recognize her thoughtful expression. Your Earth Council will accept the invitation, he asked, his tendrils moving gently within his suit. Without doubt, Park replied. We've dreamed of meeting other intelligent life, since we first looked up at the stars, finding not just life, but friends. It's more than we hoped for." The ship's preparations continued around them. Crew members moved with purpose, checking systems and securing equipment for the long journey ahead. Through the window, they could see the light seeker's organic form glowing softly against the darkness of space. "We were wrong about your ships, your technology," Tahoe admitted. "We thought your weapons meant you sought conflict. Now we understand they come from a desire to protect." Park smiled. "And we've learned that there are other ways to approach the challenges of space. Your energy fields, your biological technology, they're beautiful and effective. Together, we can create something even better." The final preparations were completed right on schedule. Human efficiency meeting Confederation protocols. The two ships moved into position for their jump to faster-than-light travel. On the Dauntless's bridge, the crew worked with practiced ease. Lieutenant Minho coordinated with the Light Seeker's navigation team. Chief Engineer Sora monitored the engines, while Tactical Officer Kim maintained a protective watch over both vessels. "You know," Tahoe said, watching the efficient operation of the bridge, "some of our younger species are already asking to study human engineering methods. Your approach to redundancy and survival has captured their imagination. And our engineers are eager to learn about your energy field technology," Park replied. "Imagine combining our durability with your elegant solutions." The countdown for the faster-than-light jump began. The two ships, so different in design and philosophy, prepared to leap into the unknown together. It was a powerful symbol of their new partnership. "Ready for jump," Minho announced. Park shared a final look with Tahoe. "This is just the beginning," she said. "Together, we can explore further and safer than either of us could alone." The stars stretched and blurred as both ships activated their drives. The Dauntless and the Light Seeker jumped together, their different technologies working in perfect harmony to carry them through space. As they traveled, crew members on both ships continued to exchange ideas and stories. Humans learned about the vast history of the Confederation, while the aliens gained new perspectives on survival and adaptation. The partnership between humanity and the Confederation would grow stronger in the years to come. Human ships would help protect peaceful species, while Confederation technology would help humans explore further than ever before. Together, they would face the challenges of space with both wisdom and strength, proving that different paths could lead to the same goal: a peaceful, thriving galaxy where all species could learn from each other. The stars streaked past as the two ships traveled together, carrying the hope of a better future for all their peoples.